the offsides or the icing rules.
Right. Yeah.
Icing in hockey, I think it's offsides in soccer.
Yeah.
And he says, so if the offense receives the ball and the only defender is the goalie, that's... And I'm like, it seems to me like I've done something good. I've beaten them.
Right.
And now I'm in a position for the one-on-one goal opportunity here. Why should that be taken away from me? Why do I have to wait for the other? Sounds communist to me. No, I'm just...
I'm going to be very careful.
No.
Move on.
We can't hear you, Jeffrey. We can't hear you. So let's see. Okay, go ahead and explain it to us here real quick.
You can score a goal if you are, no matter how many defenders are in front of you. But if you pass, if you carry the ball or hit the puck or whatever down past that last defender, it doesn't matter. It's if you are already behind, like hanging out by the goal, and you get the ball or the puck or the ball, that's icing or offsides.
But you can do that in basketball. You know,
how many fun of that guy, remember?
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you seen a team that they'll lay back, they'll keep somebody back under the basket, like on a free throw attempt or something like that. They'll keep somebody back in case they get the rebound and fast break. I mean, they throw it down the floor. But that you can't do that in soccer or hockey?
No. And I don't know, since I don't know the origins and the beginning of basketball, even though I had to learn it in a class in college, the history of sports, and I'm like, this does not matter. I do not care, but I need a grade.
Okay.
So did basketball have a rule similar when forward was your offensive
They
players?
had a position that couldn't cross half court originally, basketball. I remember that.
Yes. And, growing up in Iowa, when I was in high school, many years ago, Iowa was one of the last states that the girls, it was 3-on-3. And so you had 6 players on the team, 3 offense, 3 defense. And as soon as the defense brought the ball to half court, you handed it off to the offense. And then you played 3-on-3 on that side. And then you either made the basket or didn't. And the other team brought it up to half court and then handed the ball over to the other side. I don't know if that is original to basketball, if that was something just for the girls.
Yeah. Well, maybe with the boys, since there are 2 forwards, 2 guards, and 1 center. Yeah. Maybe that is...
Oh, I'm sure there have been rule changes. I mean, there's been rule changes in all sports over time, but...
The guards have to stay on this side of the court. The forwards are the ones that can cross center court, and the center stays in the middle.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Jeffrey. We appreciate that. And we'll learn more about it. And I know there's been rule changes, like in NASCAR. It used to be when the yellow flag came out, they didn't score everybody's lap until you got to the start-finish line.
Right.
So the yellow flag had come out, and people would race around to get back to the start-finish line for their position. Well, that seemed to be a little dangerous if there was cars and carnage and stuff on the track. You don't want people, racing around. There used to never be a speed limit on pit road.
Okay.
So you got all these guys on the pit crew coming out to change tires and fuel and all that, and you got cars racing down at full speed to get to their pit stop and get out.
Right.
Okay, that's probably not
a good idea.
Not a good idea. So I mean, there have been some rule changes in all sports over
Absolutely.
years. If you could have a debate in baseball, there's the designated hitter rule. The American League has a designated hitter. The National League does not.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm sure in soccer maybe that rule didn't originate or wasn't there originally, and then they thought, my gosh, we're going to be here forever with all these goals. The bands are going to get tired. The fans are going to get tired.
Yeah.
Let's just make it fair. And
sure.
So I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, what else? We have the mayor with us. What else is happening in the city right now?
So lots happening in the city. We're really excited about a couple of things that I wish folks would kind of drop by, take a look at. The front of the city hall.
Okay.
We're doing a lot of work there, and some folks asked why. Well, because we were having. If you ever noticed, those flower beds were really sinking quite a bit, and so. Byron's worked hard on getting that water and moving it away from the building. Anyone that knows building, sort of, you don't want water right next to your building. That's bad for your foundation. It could create a lot of problems. Kind of like you said, you don't want it inside.
Yeah,
so he worked on shedding that water. Now that we've got that fixed, I think now we're fixing those flower beds, bringing them back up so we don't have ponds anymore when we do get the rain. So a lot of work being done there, and I think it looks really nice. So right around the park there, the base park and everything else, we took out two trees at the end that were kind of rough, and they're going to put in some park benches so that those that want to enjoy the memorial, there will be some benches right there on the side where you can kind of sit and really take it in, maybe, because it's obviously a beautiful set there, and so there's a ton of work being there. So folks need to keep an eye on that. I know I get a ton of calls on a ton of different things, but there were quite a few calls on, hey, the City Hall needs to look better. So we are working on that. The grass is going to come along. It'll take a minute because we're going to have to plant some new grass that is a little more heat tolerant. So folks, be patient with us on that. We understand that and moving. The parks, obviously Byron was ahead of the rain and because we knew it was coming, so he got a really good mow on them. But now that obviously with all the rain, he's anticipated that. We're going to have big crews, so be patient with us on the parks. But we do have a big plan coming, and he's going to send mowers out everywhere. So we'll get those mowed. They'll look great. They're really looking good. I was a little disappointed because I run the draw almost every day at night. At the end of the day, that's kind of my way to calm down, and so I'll go for a run. And I'll be doggone if Monday night looked beautiful. And then so I took Tanya yesterday. I said, man, you just got to come look at the draw. It looks really good. Or, there's a lot of things happening. And somebody had dumped trash. And so, folks, please pick up your trash. Don't dump it in the middle of the park. I mean, everybody's working hard to make these parks great. The city's trying to keep up with it, but when you go out there and just dump bottles and cups everywhere, it sure doesn't help, and it makes it look terrible. And there's trash cans, use them. And even if there's not a trash can right where you are, you brought it in, please take it out. Because I was it was really disheartening, because here I am excited. The night before, everything looked great, and this little piece I was showing her, and I was excited to go show it off, and then all that. And I thought, my goodness, this is just... sometimes you can't keep up because people just don't want you to, it feels like. So help us keep up. I mean, and if y'all see trash, pick it up. The one thing in the back of my truck, I have a huge dustpan and a broom now. And when I see stuff, I stop, I sweep it up, and I throw it away. Because, it's our job to make sure that we're proud of what our city is. And, like I said, as hard as we're working, it's disheartening sometimes to see somebody treat something like that. So please pay attention. Obviously, with the 4th of July coming up, a lot of people are going to be in the parks. A lot of people are going to be enjoying that. Please clean up after yourself. Help us keep them nice. Help us continue to be proud about our system. We're doing everything we can, but it's going to take everybody in the city to continue to work on that. So.
Obviously, you mentioned the city parks that the city's responsible for. What about other areas that are in pretty public, areas that are not being maintained? Maybe empty lots or fields at one time looked really nice that have kind of been let go. Is there anything that the city can do other than just maybe encourage folks to take care of their property?
Well, and obviously code enforcement's a big part of that. We are looking for some code enforcement officers, so anyone out there that would love to apply for that job and help out, that would be wonderful. We have a really there's no code enforcement right now, but we have a few folks trying to do that and help. We were on a really good path for a minute, and now we're in need of code enforcement again. So that'd be super helpful. But yes, I think the city we want to try to be aggressive. That, out of all the calls I get on a regular basis, that's probably one of the top ones of, hey, this neighborhood, what's the deal? Everyone in the neighborhood's got great lawn. This one person got cars on jacks and all this stuff. And so that's something we're aware of. That's something we're working hard on. And
that's kind of a fine line because it is private property.
It is private property, yeah. So a lot of that's going to fall back on people are confused. Artesia doesn't really have HOAs. I think there's one neighborhood that has homeowner association. And so you see that a lot in bigger cities, bigger towns. A lot of them have HOAs. And the HOA kind of polices their own neighborhood or own homeowners association. Well, Artesia, we got a lot of covenants. And so a lot of, if you'll read your covenants, if they've ever been enforced, a lot of the covenants will say no parking in yards, this and that. And so there are ways that should be enforced, but I don't think they've ever been enforced through the covenants, your little neighborhood covenants. And so I don't know how you could go back now because people have let it go so long. But there were ways, and as there's new neighborhoods popping up, hopefully those covenants, they'll take those a little more serious and enforce their covenants. But the city does have responsibility if it's dangerous. There's a lot of things that we can do, and the county does it as well. I mean, it's on both sides. So
sure. So there is no code enforcement officer now. You need one.
Right. We do need one.
Okay. So that'd be an open position.
Position. If y'all are looking for a way to help, and that'd be a great spot to start. So
yeah. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
I have. No, I'm not going to say anything like that.
It'll keep you busy.
Keep everybody busy. Well, that's good to know that position is available, and hopefully somebody or a group. How many people are you hoping to hire in that?
Two. We'd love to have two. I mean, there's a lot of work out there to be done, and it'd be great to have two folks. But one, whatever, we'll take it.
So the interesting thing about the covenants, though, some of those go back such a long time that there may be things in covenants that today.
Yes,
you couldn't enforce anyway because of just the way our society has changed over years. So that's an interesting thing to think about too.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's been some that had to be cleaned up because some of the things.
You're probably somewhat familiar with that because of your real estate experience. You've probably seen some of those.
And when we sell houses, I mean, most of the time you sign off on those covenants, so you know about them. But it's that enforcement piece. How does that get enforced? Because you're not really an HOA. You're just there is a lot of confusion on how does this really work, and so it would revert back to the original writer of the covenants. Well, like you said, some of these were written forever ago and they're long gone, and so they've either moved or passed on or who knows. And so it is an interesting dilemma, but there are covenants that should fall into neighborhoods, and but that's a whole different subject that I don't know how to tackle because once you allow it for so long, I don't know how you can, you've kind of let a precedent be set of something
But there are overarching city ordinances that, I don't know if they supersede the covenants or they're...
Well, I don't know that they would supersede necessarily because, the covenants, a lot of times it's going to be yards, things like that, whereas weeds are probably addressed in the covenants, but our ordinance would obviously go over that in the sense of, hey, if they're too tall or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas in your covenants, it might just say you got to keep your grass. Like I remember, and I won't tell the whole story because people think ill of me, but your grass had to be an exact height when we lived in Dallas. And of course, the HOA guy lived next to me, and so we didn't get along. And so it didn't work all the time for me. But
Trump told the story how he wanted to put a flagpole in front of one of his places, and they said that the pole can't be any higher than so much height. And so he built a big mound.
Right. Yeah.
And then put the pole on top of it. The pole was the exact length that was required, but the mound elevated it up where he wanted it to be. So there's always that kind of stuff. We've got about 3 minutes left. What else would you like to make sure folks are aware of or be looking out for with the city?
Just keep an eye on us. I think we've been really aggressive. It's really nice to see. We had 4 cadets. I missed the last radio show because of the snake at the city side. And so,
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. In that meeting, we had 3 cadets. This meeting, we had 1. They'll go to academy. So we're getting lots of folks interested in the police and fire, which is nice. Chief Hope thinks we'll have quite a few come on there, or have some come on there. I know that was a big concern. There was a lot of talk about that. So we're seeing great movement there. We've become very competitive. If y'all watch Facebook, the police department put out, they've got a new recruiting truck to help them go out, try to recruit, go to a lot of these recruiting shows is the wrong word, but recruiting events. So we're working really hard on that. Lots of great stuff happening in the city. I think we're trying to be really aggressive. And people are excited. I've got lots of compliments to the city of, the departments have been really active in putting stuff out on Facebook, trying to get things done. We had, unfortunately, we shut the summer program down for the rest of this week because you had a few COVID things here and there. And so we did shut that down for the rest of the week to kind of let that calm down a little bit. We disinfected. But anyways, through the communication from the rec department, the website.
Wait a minute. Now, Louie's supposed to be here in the morning. Do I need to be worried about...
You might call him. Yeah, make sure he can be here. Yeah. So,
Because I don't need...
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you might call him. I don't know where he's at on that. So, yeah, you might call him. But
because to be honest, I did not know anything about that. Somebody mentioned it to me this morning. They said you might want to look into this. So there's no summer rec this week?
This week. So we're going to try to start that back up.
Because I'm still giving the menu and everything.
Oh, yeah, don't give the menu. So we'll start back up on the 5th if everything's good. But we've got everyone there. A lot of the workers that could are there disinfecting, cleaning, everything else, getting ready for next week. But what I was trying to go with is through all that communication, Councilor Rodriguez and I showed up yesterday morning early just to make sure that if any parents came up, they didn't just drop the kid and go thinking it was good. And while we were there till a little after 8. Nobody had dropped anyone off. So I was really proud of that because it shows that, hey, we tried really hard to get that communication out, and most folks, even though I'm sure folks weren't excited to hear that because obviously that puts some hindrance in their plans. But it was really good communication. We were able to get that out. So it shows we're able to do it, and we've got to do that. So that was my point. Folks seem to really like the fact that there's a lot of communication happening with your help as well. I mean, we're getting stuff out. And that's what we're supposed to do, right? Whether it's good news, bad news, it doesn't matter. It's good we get it out so you know the news. And,
that's right.
And we can make plans around that.
Exactly. Mayor, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Now I'm worried about I'm going to make Louis wear a mask, I think. So
yeah, there you go.
This is KSVP Artesia.
Abbott blames on President Biden.